Hello, everyone, and welcome to Eat to Treat. We are a nonprofit that aims to end health disparities, and I'm Dr. Amaris Williams with Eat to Treat, and I have a PhD in nutrition, and I'm an avid foodie and a cook. And as part of Eat to Treat, I do live cook along cooking demonstrations of diabetes and hypertension friendly recipes. Pretty much all the recipes are hypertension or high blood pressure friendly. The diabetes friendliness comes with portion sizes and some substitutions of the ingredients, which I go over in the demos themselves. So we are here the first and third Saturday of every month at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And I post the ingredients ahead of time on eat-to-treat.org. And that's it. So let's start making what we're making today, and that's paella. So paella is a rice dish that is light in flavor. I made the mistake the first time I made this recipe of using half chicken stock and half beef stock, and it was like heavy and not appealing. But if you use a vegetable stock or a chicken stock, it's light and seafoody and flavorful. So, as always, when we have a libation as part of our ingredient list, we get started by opening our libation and pouring ourselves some. So I right now I have a $5 bottle of Sauvignon Blanc from Aldi, and I'm gonna pour myself a little bit. So I feel like I have to tell you that 5 to 6 ounces is a serving size for wine. So I'm not gonna fill the glass all the way up to the top unless you're using a brandy snifter or something like that. And the next thing we're gonna do is cut up some onion, because that's the first thing that's gonna go in the pot. Oh, and I didn't taste my wine. It's okay. I have the same brand from Aldi of the Pinot Grigio, and I like the Pinot Grigio better. So just um, in case you were wondering how a $5 bottle compares to another $5 bottle, the Pinot Grigio is better than the Sauvignon Blanc in this brand. Okay, so I cut the stem off my onion, and then I pulled the little root bits off because they tend to get in your food if you don't. And then I'm going to cut it through the root and the stem in half. And then I'm just going to slice it because we don't need too small pieces for this recipe. And you'll notice I've got my fingertips curled under my hand so that it makes it harder for me to cut myself. I can still do it if I am talking and not paying attention and not looking at what I'm doing, but it's harder to do. So, and then again, I'm just going to slice the other half a little bit faster this time. If you are cooking with others, make sure to save about half a cup of your wine. Don't give it all to your cooking buddies or to yourself. Hello there, everyone. Okay, so now I'm going to put some oil in my pan, and my pan is wet, so it might splatter a little bit. And I will put about a tablespoon in there and reserve some later just in case we need it. And then toss the onion straight in the pan. And I have mine on 5 out of 10. You could do higher just as long as you remember to stir it frequently. The next thing I'm going to do is cut up some carrot. I'm using carrot in mine. This is an optional ingredient. But whatever vegetables you choose to use, if it's a root vegetable like carrot or parsnip or something like that, you're going to want to put that in with your onion. If it's a softer vegetable like eggplant, then we'll put that in when we put the broth and the tomato in. And I'll remind you at that time. But go ahead and cut it up now, because the next thing we're going to cut is the chicken, or the last thing we're going to cut is the chicken, because the chicken has salmonella on it, and we don't want that on our vegetables. Alright, and the onion is really getting to me. These are not tearless onions that I've purchased. These are regular onions from Aldi. I didn't have a chance to go to Whole Foods. Goodness gracious. Tearless onions make a big difference. Alright. Oh. Alright, last carrot. Oh, I passed the carrot. Okay, next order of business, stir your onion. It's okay if it browns a little bit, but we don't want it to get too brown. I wonder if wine helps with teary eyes. Doesn't appear so. Alright. So again, I'm going to curl my fingers under when my knife gets closer to my not cutting hand. I'm just going to rock the knife through the carrot. I'm keeping the tip of the knife on the cutting board, and then just rocking the heel part of the knife up and down through the carrot. Onion is pungent. And then once I'm done cutting the carrot, that's the last thing I'm going to cut, because I'm not using eggplant. When I made this before, I did use eggplant, and I used mushrooms. I would not recommend using mushrooms, because those have more of a strong flavor, and you don't get the lightness of the paella flavor. It kind of masks the saffron and the other delicate flavors that you have going on. So I wouldn't use beef stock, and I would not use mushrooms. But the eggplant was fine, and the carrots were fine. But I didn't feel like doing eggplant today. So we're just doing carrots and onions, and the tomatoes and the red bell peppers. And I'm going to do a frozen pea at the very end. Alright. Alright, so I'm done cutting vegetables. The last thing I'm going to cut is chicken. But if you have eggplant or something else to cut, go ahead and cut that before you cut your chicken. There's a brand new Aldi that opened up in Columbus in Grandview Heights. And I guess people don't know that it's open. They've been building it for a while, but nobody really knows that it's open. So half of their chicken was about to pass its expiration or sell-by date. So it was all 50% off, and I got a crap load of chicken. And I put it in my freezer for 50% off. Pretty pleased about that. These are our tenderloins, 50% off chicken tenderloins that I pulled out of the freezer yesterday. Put them in the fridge. Obviously, I did not put it on my stove, on my counter. And I'm just cutting it into about 1-inch cubes. And I'm going to toss it in with the onion and the carrot. And so that's it for cutting things. And really, the main part of the cooking and the prep work is done. Everything else is just add stuff to the pot and let it cook. Which I guess you could characterize most cooking as add stuff to the pot and let it cook, but this is a very simple version of that. So I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit. I'm at 6 out of 10 now. And the next thing I'm going to add is some garlic paste and the rice. I'm going to add a little bit extra oil when I add the rice and stir it all up together and keep stirring it for a minute. So I'm not going to cut anything or do anything else while I'm stirring because we got to focus on the stirring. So I'm putting about a tablespoon of garlic paste in the pot to let it cook. And, what did I just say? Rice. A cup of rice. So 1 cup of rice. I made this with 2 cups of rice, and it was a lot of rice. So I think 1 cup is going to be better. But you want to put twice as much broth as rice as you put in there. So, you put 1 cup of rice in. Put 2 cups of broth, especially since we're using brown rice. I will warn you, if you decide to use wild rice takes forever to cook. Put a little bit of extra oil in there with the rice. That helps the grains stay separated and not clump together. So I'm just going to stir this for a couple of minutes. I made paella with wild rice once, and it just took forever to cook, and I thought it was almost done, but it wasn't, and I had to add more water to let it cook all the way, but I had already added my shrimp, because I thought it was almost done, and my shrimp turned out chewy. It was just not good. So I would not recommend wild rice for paella. I would recommend a quicker cooking rice. What I'm using today is brown jasmine rice. So not only is it a light, fluffy flavor, it is a fluffy rice, and it's a quicker cooking rice than wild rice, for sure. Okay, now we're going to add the half a cup of wine I asked you to keep without drinking. That's just to deglaze the pan. If you have any brown bits or what's called fond stuck on the bottom of your pan, you can use wine to loosen it and dissolve it and get it back in solution. I actually managed to cook something without having brown bits stuck on the bottom of my pan, which is uncharacteristic of me. But if you do have it, then get a wooden spoon or something and scrub it off after you add the wine, and it'll come right up, and that flavor will dissolve back into your soup here. Not soup, but it will be a soup until the rice is cooked. But into the liquid, and then the flavor will be in your dish. All right. So now that we've added the wine, we're ready to add the tomatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and open that while the wine reduces. And I'm going to put everything in there, including the juices. I forgot to show you what I have here. I have a no salt added diced tomato in tomato juice. Peeled diced tomatoes in tomato juice. I'll show you. So it says no salt added and peeled diced tomato in tomato juice. Any kind of tomato you want to use is fine. You can use whole tomatoes. Those expensive tomatoes that are like $6 a can. I forget what they're called. The Italian ones. I can't think of what they're called. But you can use those if you want. And I also have roasted red pepper. This is cut into strips, but you can use the whole ones if you like. And I'm going to use, this is a 16-ounce jar, so I'm going to use about a quarter of what's in here. Got a fork. Just go ahead and toss that in. And that'll give us a nice roasted flavor. And finally, we've got some thyme and some saffron or turmeric, and we've got some no salt added chicken broth. So I'm going to measure how much chicken broth I put in. I'm going to do 2 cups. One cup. And 2 cups. And then 1 teaspoon of thyme. This is not as important as the ratio of rice to liquid, so I'm just going to grab a pinch and put it in there. I think the recipe says about a teaspoon. That's about what I put in there. And the saffron, you're going to use a much smaller pinch. Saffron is the most expensive spice in the world. And this little jar with that much in it cost me like $15 or something. And that was years ago. I don't use saffron a lot because it's so expensive. But I'm only going to put about that much in. Can you see that? Hold it next to the stainless steel. It's like maybe 10 filaments. And what saffron is the stamen, or well, I'm not a botanist, but you know how flowers have the male part that sticks out of the middle of the flower? That's what that is. It's from a crocus, I want to say, a special type of crocus flower, and it's the stamen or pistil or whatever that's called. Yeah, I probably should have Googled that before starting talking about that. But I'm not a botanist. All I know is that it imparts a nice flavor and a yellow color to whatever you put it in, which is why people say add turmeric, because it'll give you the yellow flavor, the yellow color, but it's not the same flavor. So don't think that you can just put turmeric instead of saffron and still get the same taste. You'll get the same color, but not the same taste. Okay, what else? Let me just check my recipe to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. As is my wont, let's see. Onion, carrot, chicken, garlic paste, brown rice, white wine. Oh, let me drink some of that. Hold on. Tomato, roasted red pepper, broth, thyme, saffron or turmeric. The last thing is the shrimp, which we'll put in after the rice is cooked. So That's going to take a while. Even though I have a quicker cooking brown rice, it's not, it's not going to be done in a few minutes. So let me just tell you what's going to happen, and then we'll call this demo done. So this is what canned crab looks like. When you open the can, what you see is a layer of nice whole claw meat pieces, and they put that on top. But once you get past that first layer, it's just like chopped up crab. And then they put more whole pieces on the bottom. And then mixed in with that is shell. So I haven't found a good way to get the shell out of a whole can of crab without sitting there and going through it with your fingers and picking the shell out. I tried putting it in a colander and rinsing it, but that doesn't really do anything. You still get shell and the little membrane that's in between the pieces of claw meat. You still get that in there. So if anybody knows how to get shell out of claw meat, please leave it in the comments or in the description, because it kind of sucks to pay all that money for crab meat and then have to deal with shell in your dish. But this goes in at the very end, like right before you serve it, because it's already cooked and you don't want to overcook it. So just stir it in with the frozen peas at the end. Now what else I'm going to put in is shrimp. And this goes in once the rice is done, or like there's a little bit of liquid left. I put the frozen shrimp in, stir it around until it's cooked. And you want to put it in with enough time that once the shrimp is cooked, which only takes about 5 minutes, then the rice is also done. So when you've got 5 minutes of cooking left on your rice and you've tasted it and it's mostly done, then add your shrimp, stir it around, let it cook, and then turn off the heat, add your peas and your crab, and then you're done. And that's it. It's the whole dish. And I think I've been on for like, how long have I been on? 23 minutes. So, and part of that was talking and drinking wine. Now, and crying over onions. So that's really it. I'm gonna call the demo here, because I feel like you guys know how to cook rice. And once the rice is done, add the shrimp again, then add the peas and the crab, and then the dish is finished. Let me just make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Oh, if you are adding eggplant, add it now before the rice is done. So when you add the stock and the tomatoes and the peppers, add the eggplant at the same time. And that's it. That's it. So thank you for joining. I'm done. I'm out of things to say. So have a great rest of your weekend, and I hope you enjoy this dish. So let me say bye. Bye.